Good evening, all of you. In the last session that happened on 1st of March, we discussed about file permissions in the Linux. In the Linux operating system, we will use everything as a file. Everything will be represented as a file in the Linux operating system. And Linux is multi-user operating system. That means multiple users can access the Linux machine at a time and they can perform the operations. Now here, I want to protect my files. I want only few people to access my files. I want only few people to read my file data. I want very few people to modify my file data. So in order to secure the data in the files, in order to protect the data in the files, in order to protect the files, we are going to work with file permissions in Linux. Okay, right. Now, how can we see file permissions for the existing files? How can we see the file permissions for the existing files? By using ls-l command. What command we are going to use, guys? ls-l command we are going to use. ls-l command we are going to use to see the file permissions. File permission will be represented in 3 characters: R, W, X. R means read permission, W means write permission, X means execute permission, hyphen means no permission for that. Okay. Now, in the file permission, we will have 3 segments. First one represents user permissions. Second one represents group permissions. Third one represents others permissions. Okay. Group, user permission, group permission, and others permission. So in the last session, we have taken 2 examples and we understood the file permissions. First one, RW-RW-R. That means user is having read write permission, no execute. Group having read write permission, no execute. Others are having only read permission. So like that, there are 3 segments are available for that file. Next one, I have given one more example. Here, first segment contains only R and X. That means user permissions are read and execute, no write permission. Second section contains RW, read and write, no execute permission. Third section contains only X, that means only execute, no read and write permission for others. First segment represents user permissions. Second segment represents group permissions. Third segment represents others permissions. Got it? Now, how can we add the permission or how can we remove the permission? To add the permission or to remove the permission, there is a command in the Linux which is called chmod. Now, if you see, add write permission for others on the F3. Others means O plus W. For others, I'm adding write permission. O plus W. Plus means adding. Minus means removing. Remove the read permission for group. Group G minus R for F3. On the F3 file, I'm removing read permission for the group. chmod G minus R. Group minus read. For the group, I'm removing the read permission. Add execute permission for the user. User means U. Add the execute. Execute represented by X. U plus X. For users, I'm adding execute permission on the F3 file. This is what we have discussed in the last session. Guys, all of you practiced it. 2 days holidays you got. Last 2 days, there are no classes due to my personal work. I was not able to take the sessions. I think you got enough time to practice the examples. I hope you got enough time to practice the examples. All right. In last session, we discussed about file permissions. In last session, we discussed about file permissions. Okay. In the file permissions, you can see that R, that means read. R means read. W means write. W means write. X means execute. X means execute. Okay. To see the permissions of the files, we can execute ls-l command. To see file permissions, we can execute below command. What is the command that I need to execute to see the permissions of the file? What is the command I need to execute to see the permissions of the file? I will execute a command called ls-l. File permission is divided into three parts. File permission divided into three sections. File permission divided into three sections. One is user permission. Second one is group permission. One is user permission. Second one is group permission. Third one is other permission. User permissions, group permissions, others permissions. So total there are three segments available. User permissions, group permissions, and others permissions. All right. To add or remove the permissions, we will use chmod command. To add or remove permissions, we will use one command called chmod command. What is the command we are going to use, guys? To add or remove the permissions, we will use chmod command. Okay. Chmod. Suppose, for example, if I am executing this, chmod u plus w f4.txt. Sorry, guys. Can you please tell me what I am doing here? Can you please tell me what I am doing in this command? What is happening in this command? Adding write permission for user. Adding write permission for user. Okay. Now, $of chmod user minus x f4.txt. Removing execute permission for user. Removing execute permission for user. Sorry, this is the command is chmod. What is the command we need to use, guys? The command is chmod. Now, here I'm writing $of chmod of g minus x f5.txt. G minus x f5.txt. Can you tell me what is happening here? Can you tell me what is happening here? G minus x, what does it mean? Excellent, Srija. Removing execute permission for the group. Removing execute permission for the group. Removing execute permission for the group. Okay. Now, suppose for example, if I have given a command $of chmod o plus x f6.txt. Can you tell me what I am doing with this command? O plus x. What this command is doing? Adding execute permission for others. Adding execute permission for others. So this is what we have discussed. Are you guys clear with this? How to work with the file permissions in the Linux? Okay. Very good. How can I see file permissions now? I have started my EC2 instance, which is using Ubuntu operating system. And I have connected to my EC2 by using putty software ls-l command. It is displaying all the permissions of the file. D represents it is a directory file. Hyphen represents these are ordinary files. So all these files are having permissions. Read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read and execute. Okay. By looking at these characters, you can understand what permissions are available for that file, who is having which permission. what permissions are there for the user, what permissions are there for the group, what permissions are there for the others. Guys, now can you check file1.txt permissions now? Can you check file1.txt permissions? User having read write, group having read write, others having only read permission. Can you see file1.txt? Can you see file1.txt? Users having read write, group having read write, others having read permission. Now I will execute one command, guys. Observe carefully. Observe carefully. I want to add read write execute permission for all the three users. I want to add read write execute permission for all the three. Users should have read write execute, group should have read write execute, others should have read write execute. Can you tell me the command for that? I want to give full access on the file one for everybody. I want to give the full access for everybody on the file1.txt. So what should I do now? What should I do now? Come on. So generally what I will do, chmod user plus execute on file1.txt. First for user, then next for group, then next for others. Like this, I have to execute the multiple commands. Instead of that, I'm going to give some numeric number. Chmod 777 file1.txt. Guys, observe carefully. Chmod 777 file1.txt executed. ls-l. ls-l. Now, can you see file one? All the three permissions are available or not? All the three permissions are available or not? This is called symbolic representation of the file permissions. This is called symbolic representation of the file permissions. Okay, there are some numbers available which will represent file permissions. We can represent file permissions symbolically. Okay, we can also use symbolic mode to modify permissions. We can also use symbolic mode to modify file permissions. It's 777, nothing but full permission for you. 7 means read, write, execute. I have given 3 sevens. That means what? For a user, where is that command? Chmod 777. 7 means read, write, execute. First 7 represents read, write for user. Second 7 represents read, write, execute for the group. Third 7 represents read, write, execute for others. 7 means read, write, execute. 3 sevens means for user, for group, for others. That's it. Okay. Now, here we can use a symbolic mode also to work with the file permissions in Linux. We can use symbolic mode also to work with file permissions. We can use symbolic mode also to work with file permissions. Now, here I am going to represent the number and associated permission for that number. Number and permission for that. 0 means no permission. 0 means no permission. Okay. 1 means execute permission. 1 means execute. 0 means no permission. If it is representing with 0, that means there is no permission for that. If you give number 1, that means execute permission. Number 2, write permission. Number 2 represents write permission. Number 3, execute and write. If you want to give both execute and write permission, you can go for number 3. Execute and write. Number 4, read permission. If you give number 4, then it will become read permission. Number 5, read and execute. Number 5, read and execute. Number 5, read and execute. Number 6, read and write. Number 6, read and write. Number 7, read, write and execute. Number 7, read, write and execute. Number 7, read, write and execute. Are you guys able to understand symbolic representation for the file permissions? Are you guys able to understand the symbolic representation of the file permissions? 0 means no permission. 1 means execute. 2 means write. 3 means execute and write. 4 means read. 4 means read. 5 means read and execute. 6 means read and write. 7 means read, write, execute. For example, if I execute a command, chmod 555 file1.txt, chmod 555 file1.txt, then what happened? Triple five. First 5 represents what? Read. Now, again I have given 5, read and execute permissions. Okay. Read, write, execute. 777 means all the permissions. 777 means all the permissions. You got my point? 0 means no permission. 1 means execute permission. 2 means write permission. 3 means execute and write. 5 means read and execute. 6 means read and write. 6 means read and write. 6 means read and write. 7 means read, write and execute. Read, write and execute. Okay. Now if I execute a command with 765 chmod 765 file1.txt, 765 command I have given, then what happened for the file 1? 765. 7 means for user all permissions. 6 means for group read and write permission. 5 means read and execute permission for others. Okay. Now, suppose for example, if I have given $chmod 765 f1.txt, $765 f1.txt, what it will do? Read, write and execute permission for user. 6 means read and write permission for group. Read and write permission for group. Read and write permission for group. 5 means read and execute for others. Read and execute for others. Read and execute for others. You understand my point? What is the meaning of 765 here? 765. 7 for user, 6 for group, 5 for others. 7 means all. Read, write and execute permission for the user, because 7 I am giving in the first place. That means it is applicable for user. For user we are giving read, write and execute permission. Okay. Next one. 6 means I am giving read and write for group. 6 applicable for group. Read and write permission for the group. 5 means for others. Read and execute for the others. Read and execute for the others. You understand how to work with the file permissions using symbols? I mean using numbers. We can use a symbolic mode also to work with file permissions. We can use symbolic mode also to work with the file permissions. 7 means all permissions. 6 means read and write. 5 means read and execute. 4 means read. 3 means execute. 2 means write. 1 means execute. 0 means no permission. If I give 000, what will happen? Nobody will have any permission. If I give 000, nobody will have any permission. If I give 111, If I give 111, what will happen? chmod 111 file1.txt ls-l 111. What happened? One means what? Only execute. For all users are having only execute na. User is having execute, group having execute, others also having execute. Others also having execute. If I give 222, file1.txt 222, what will happen? Only write permission for user, group, others. Only write permission. Everyone will get the write permission. Can I give all the permissions for everyone? chmod 777 file1.txt file1.txt ls-l. For user, read write permission. For group, read write. For user, read write execute. For group, read write execute. For others, read write execute. All the permissions are available when you give 777. That means first number represents for user permission, second number represents group permission, third number represents others permission. Third number represents others permission. Are you guys clear with this? Are you guys clear with this? Yeah, perfect. Good. So with this, we are comfortable to work with file permissions in Linux using alphabets, using numbers. Next one, working with user accounts in Linux. Working with user accounts in Linux. Now, Linux is one user based operating system, or Linux is a multi-user operating system. Linux is a single user operating system, or Linux is a multi-user operating system. Linux is multi-user operating system. Multiple users can access Linux machines at a time. Linux is a multi-user based operating system. Linux is a multi-user based operating system. Multiple users can access Linux machine at a time. Multiple users can access Linux machine at a time. Multiple users can access Linux machine at a time. We can create multiple accounts in the Linux OS. We can create multiple accounts in Linux. We can create multiple accounts in the Linux. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of that is, in this, I'm taking one Linux machine. I'm taking one Linux VM or Linux machine. In this Linux machine, I can create multiple accounts for the users. Account 1, account 2, account 3. Like this, multiple user accounts we can create. Now, this is user 1, user 1, user 2, user 2, user 3. 3 user account. That means 3 people can use this Linux machine. User 1, user 2, user 3. 3 accounts are there in the Linux operating system now. 3 people can log in. 3 people can log in into Linux machine. They can perform multiple tasks at a time. User 1, user 2, user 3. 3 accounts are there in our machine. 3 people can connect at a time and they can perform the operation. So for them, we will give the username and password. If we give the username and password, they can connect to the machine and they can perform their operations. All right, good. How to create a user? Creating a user in Linux. Creating user in Linux. How to create a user in the Linux? To create the user in the Linux, there is a command called sudo add username, sudo add username, sudo add username. It is used to create the user in Linux. Okay. Now deleting user in Linux. Deleting user in Linux. Once you create the user, you should know how to delete the user also. In order to delete the user in the Linux, we will use a command called $sudo userdel, then username. So whatever the username is there, you just pass that name for userdel command. It is going to delete the user. Are you guys able to understand how to create the account in the Linux? Are you guys able to understand how to create the account in the Linux? Sudo add username. Deleting the user in the Linux, sudo user delete user1. Now, before going to create that, can you see what is our present working directory? Password. Can you come back? CD. For this, I'm giving pwd. Home directory. ls-l command. Inside the home directory, Ubuntu folder is there. Ubuntu directory is there. That is the username. That is for every user one folder will be created in the home directory. Now I want to create a new user, guys. I want to create a new user. Sudo add user1. What is that I'm giving, guys? Sudo add user1. It is asking password for that user1 @123 is the password. User1 @123 is the password. Full name of that user, nothing. Room number, working phone number, home phone number, other. Is this information correct? Yes, sir. Now ls-l command. Now can you see for user1 also one folder got created? That means I have created one user with a name called user1. So what is the password? User1 @123 I have given. So that user also can log in into this machine. If that person knows his credentials and IP address and the private key, that person also can log in into my Linux machine. So do you understand how to create a user? How to create a user? Now, how can I log in into this machine with that username? su-user1. su-user1. It is asking the password. User1 @123. Now, see present working directory. Who am I? What is my username now? User1 is my username. How to change the user in the Linux? su-username. Then it is asking the password. I have given the password. I am currently in the user1 folder, which is inside the home directory. Who am I? I am a user1. I'm not the Ubuntu now. Ubuntu is one user account. User1 is another user account. Currently, I switched from Ubuntu account to user1 account. I switched from Ubuntu account to user1 account. Okay. Are you guys clear with this? Are you guys clear with this? Switching the user accounts in Linux. Switching user account in Linux. Switching the user account in Linux. So what is the command to switch the user account? Sudo -username. Sudo -username. That is the command. Sudo -username. Okay. Check your current username using whoami command. Checking the current username. Checking current username. What is the command that we will use to check the current username, guys? What is the command we are going to use to check the username? Who am I? What is the command? Who am I? It is going to give you the name of the account which you used to log in. PWD will give you present working directory. Bhuvaneshwar Reddy, you are giving wrong answer. I asked you to give the command which will display the username. Who am I command will display that. Who am I command will display that. PWD command will display. Currently you are pointing to which directory? Currently we are pointing to home directory inside the user one directory. Home directory inside that user one directory. Who am I? That means what is your username? What is your username? My username is user one. Can I create one more user also? Sudo add user, user two. Password for user one. Password for user one. User one. Logout. Password incorrect. Sudo add user. Sudo add user. That is user two. Sudo add user. That is user two. New password. New password. So what I'm giving here, user 2 at the rate 123. User 2 at the rate 123. Okay. Yes. SU hyphen user 2. SU hyphen user 2. Password which I have selected. Now present working directory user 2. Who am I? I am user 2. So total how many accounts are there in our system now? 4 accounts are there. Root account, Ubuntu account, user 1 account, user 2 account. Total how many accounts are there in my Linux machine now? Total how many accounts are there in my Linux machine now? 4 accounts are there. First one is root account, second one is Ubuntu account, third one is user 1 account, fourth one is user 2 account. You understand how to switch from one account to another account? Ubuntu account created by default when you started Linux machine. Ubuntu is created by default. When we are using AWS EC2, when we have selected Ubuntu AMI, Ubuntu account created by default. Okay. Yeah. How to delete the user accounts? How to delete the user accounts? Sudo delete user --remove -home user 1. I'm deleting user 1. I'm deleting user 1. Okay, user 2 cannot delete this file directly, so that root user can perform this kind of operations, delete user. So this is the command which we are going to use to delete the users. Okay, and the next one, working with user groups in Linux. Working with user groups in Linux. We can create a group with multiple users so that we can manage the permissions easily. Working with user groups in Linux. Working with user groups in Linux. Group means collection of users. Group means collection of users. Group is collection of users. Group means collection of users. Group means collection of users. You got my point? Now, The main aim of the groups, the main aim of the group is to manage privileges for the users like read and write, execute permissions. Okay, the primary purpose of groups is to define a set of privileges. The primary purpose of group is to define, the primary purpose of the group is to define set of privileges, set of privileges for a given resource that can be shared among the users within the group. For a given resource, giving the rules for the given file or a resource, given resource. The primary purpose of group is to define set of privileges, nothing but rules, nothing but permissions for given resource that can be shared among the users within the group. Now, I want to provide read-write access for 10 users. So, is it recommended to execute a command for 10 times for 10 users? I have 10 users in my system. For 10 users, I want to give write permission. I have 10 users. I want to provide the write permission for 10 users. How many commands I have to execute? How many times I have to execute the command? For 10 users, I want to provide the write permission. For 10 users, I want to perform the write permission. 10 times I have to execute the chmod command or not. 10 times I have to execute the chmod command or not. Simple example, sir. Simple example. Your friends are there. Your family members, cousins are there. You have 10 cousins. You want to send a good morning message to your cousins, 10 people. Will you send the good morning message separately for 10 people? Or you will create one WhatsApp group, cousins group, and you will send a good morning in the cousins group. You have to send good morning message to 10 cousins. You have best friends. They are your best friends. Cousins group is there. 10 people are there. You want to say good morning to all of them. Is it easy to send the message personally for all of them? Or is it easy to create a group and send the message in the group? Create the WhatsApp group, cousins group, and you send a message. So what is the main reason we are creating WhatsApp groups? What is the main reason we are creating WhatsApp groups? To send the message to group of people easily. To send the messages to group of people at a time easily. Good morning. Now 257 people you can add in the group. 257 people can be there in the WhatsApp group. So if you send a good morning message, 257 people will see your message. You can send the message to 257 people at a time using WhatsApp group. I want to say good night. Do I need to tell good night to all my 200 friends separately, or I will create a group and I will say good night? So same thing here also. Multiple users can be available in the Linux machine. I want to provide the right permission for all the users. Is it easy to give the right permission for all the users separately? Or is it easy to create a group and give the right permission for the group so that that permission will be applicable for all the users who belongs to that group? It's better to create a group, then you give the permission for that group, then it will be applicable for all the users who belongs to that group. So now you understand why we are going to work with groups in the Linux. Now do you understand why we are going to work with groups in the Linux? Group means collection of users. Group means collection of users. The primary purpose of group is to define set of privileges for a given resource. For a given resource that can be shared among the users within the group. Among the users within the group. Okay. Now, how to create a group? Creating a group in the Linux. Creating a group in Linux. In order to create a group in the Linux, what is the command? Sudo group add group name. Sudo group add and we will give group name. Sudo group add, we will give the group name for that. We'll give the group name for that. Adding the user to a group. We have several users now. How to add the users to group? Add user to group. I have created one group and I want to add the user to particular group. So what is the command to add the user to the group? Sudo user mode -ag group name, then username. Group name, then username. Like this, we can create a group and we can add the users to the group also. Like this, we can create the group and we can add the users to the group also. Yeah, read this. Working with user groups in Linux. Working with user groups in Linux. Completed? Yeah. Now, let me create one group, guys. Sudo group add. Sudo group add. I'm giving this group name as freshers. Password for user 2. I'm changing my username to Ubuntu. I'm changing my username to Ubuntu. What is the Ubuntu password? Authentication failure. We logged in with user 2. Now we want to switch back to Ubuntu. Ubuntu username, we know. Password, we don't know. We are using ppk file for the password. su-ubuntu. No. Yeah, now I exited from that. Now I came to Ubuntu user. See the present working directory. Home. Who am I? What is my username? My username is Ubuntu. ls-l. ls-l. Yeah. cd space Ubuntu. Currently, I am going to Ubuntu directory, which is the home directory of my user. Who am I? I am a Ubuntu user. I want to create one group, sudo group add, sudo group add group name. I'm giving the group name as freshers. Group is created. How to check the groups which are created? Cat it etc. folder and group. So these all are the groups which are created. To see the groups which are existing, we can execute this command. To see the existing groups, we can see below command. To see existing groups, we can use below command. Cat etc group. To display existing groups. To display existing groups, we will use this command. To see the existing groups, we can use cat/etc/group. It is going to display all the groups which are available. Now, can you see freshers group is created? Can you see freshers group is created? Yes. Now, let us add users to that group. Let us add users to that group. What is the command? Sudo user mode -a g. Now freshers is the group name, user one is the username. Now I have added ID of user one. Now you see user one belongs to a group called freshers group. If you want to see the user information, we can use the ID command, ID space user one. Now let me go for ID space user two. ID space user two. ID user two belongs to which group, guys? User ID user two, group ID 1002. Groups is belongs to only user two group. User two belongs to which group called? User two group. I want to add the user two for the freshers group. How can I add the user two for the freshers? For the freshers group, I want to added ID user two. Now you see user two belongs to two groups. One is user two group, another one is the freshers group. Am I able to create the group and add the user to the group? Am I able to create the group and add the users to the group? And how can we see the groups belongs to that user? How can we see the groups belongs to that user? What is the command? ID username, ID username, ID Ubuntu, ID Ubuntu. Now you see Ubuntu belongs to how many groups? Ubuntu belongs to how many groups? Ubuntu belongs to Ubuntu group, ADM group, dial-out group, CD-ROM group, floppy group, sudo group, audio group, dip group, video group, plug dev, net dev, LXD. Ubuntu user belongs to several groups. Now, ID of user one. ID of user one. User one belongs to two groups, user one group and freshers group. ID of user two. ID of user two. User two belongs to user two group and freshers group. Now to check user groups, to check the user belongs to which groups, to check user belongs to which groups, to check user belongs to which groups, we are going to use a command called ID of username. ID of username. ID of username. Like this, we can check the groups that user belongs to. We have created a user now. That user belongs to how many groups? The user is available in how many groups? We can check it. We can check it by using this. By using this. Okay. Next one. How to delete the user from the group? How to delete the user from the group? How to delete a user from the group. Now, let me execute a command sudo g password -d user2, then group name freshers. Removing user2 from the group freshers. So what is the command that we are using to delete a user from the group? To delete the user from the group, this is the command. Here, username, and you want to delete from the which group, that group name you have to specify. Okay, this is the command. Deleting the user from the group, removing user from the group. Delete user from group. So this is the command. How to delete a particular group? How to delete particular group? Delete a group. Delete a group. Sudo group delete group name. Sudo group delete, then group name. Sudo group delete and group name. Sudo group delete and group name. Are you comfortable with this? Are you guys comfortable with this? Sudo group delete freshers. Okay. Cat etc group. Now, do we have freshers group here? Or freshers group is deleted? Do we have freshers group or freshers group is deleted? Freshers group is deleted. So what is the command to delete a group? To delete a group, we have a command sudo group del group name. How to delete a user from a group? Now, in the WhatsApp group, we have 10 friends. I want to remove one friend from the group. You will go to the group settings and you will remove. Similarly, in the Linux, if you want to delete one user from the group, sudo g password -d username group name. So this user will be deleted from this group. If you want to check that user belongs to how many groups, id command. Sudo user mode -ag group name username, adding the user to the particular group. And to display the existing groups available in our system, cat command etc/group. It is going to display all the groups available. So today we discussed how to work with the file permissions numerically, and working with the user accounts in the Linux, how to create a user account, how to switch one from one account to another account, checking the current username, deleting the user, and how to create the group, and how to see the existing groups, how to add the particular user account to the group, and how to remove the particular user from the group, how to check the user belongs to how many groups, and how to delete a group. This is what we have discussed in the today's session. Okay, and the next one is changing file owner. Changing file owner, file ownership. Changing the file ownership. Now, what is my present working directory? What is my present working directory? Ubuntu. ls-l. ls-l. Now you see this file one having some permissions. It is created by a user called Ubuntu user. It belongs to a group called Ubuntu group. And this is the size of the file. This is the date that file got created. And this is the file name. Now we are going to use chown command. Chown command user1 file1.txt. Chown user1, changing the ownership of the file, operation not permitted. Changing the ownership of the file. So here we are trying to change the ownership of the file. How to change the ownership of the file? By using chown command. Chown command is used for changing the owner. Who is the owner of these files? All these files are created by Ubuntu user. All these files are created by Ubuntu user. Now we need to change the ownership of the file. How to change the ownership of the file? That I am going to discuss in the next session. How to change the ownership of the file by using chown command. change owner. So tomorrow we'll talk about chown command, and we'll talk about how to install softwares in Linux, how to install softwares in Linux, how to deploy static website in Linux. This is the agenda for tomorrow. With tomorrow, we are completing our classes on the Linux. With tomorrow, we'll complete our classes on the Linux. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about these three topics. What is the chown command? How to work with the chown command, which is used to change the ownership of the file. How to install softwares, how to install a Java in the Linux machine, how to install Apache server in the Linux machine, how to deploy one static website in the Linux machine. I will discuss that. So with tomorrow, we will be completing our discussion on the Linux commands. Once the Linux commands are completed, then we need to go for shell scripting. I think 4 to 5 classes I will take on the shell scripting. Okay. 4 to 5 classes I will take on the shell scripting. Tomorrow we'll complete the classes on Linux. Next we are going to talk about shell scripting. Got it? Tomorrow class is very, very important, sir, because how to install softwares in the Linux, how to install servers in the Linux, how to deploy one application in the Linux server, that we are going to discuss in the tomorrow session. Please don't miss the tomorrow's class. Okay. Thank you guys. Good night. I will see you in the next lecture, that is tomorrow.